Hello, and welcome to this 5th week of our course, Buddhist Meditation, going further, going deeper. And our theme today, it's the hindrances to meditation. We've already looked at different practices that use an active or a receptive approach. We've looked at actively and consciously developing certain qualities, like a warm, open, intimate even, relationship to our body, focusing our energies, bringing together our different selves so they flow harmoniously together in a more positive and powerful sense. And also developing positive emotion, positive intention directed to ourselves, to others, and the world. And a more open, receptive approach to our experience of ourselves, our experience of other people, and the world. But what if that isn't enough? What if we try to do these practices and feel like, well, every now and again, or even quite often, we don't quite manage to? We manage to do the practices, but the results of the practices aren't what we hoped for. Maybe after meditation we feel dry, or maybe we're concentrated during the practice and immediately afterwards feel very distracted. It's these sorts of questions that form our theme today. The question of what hinders meditation. Once we've seen clearly what hinders, next week, the last week of the course, we can look at how to work with these hindrances more specifically. How we can dissolve them. How we can overcome them. So, the hindrances to meditation. First of all, let's look at what we mean by the word hindrance. Okay, we're meditating, we're trying to concentrate, develop positive emotional states, and something stops us, something distracts us. What can it be? Sometimes it's sounds. Sometimes we just can't seem to get comfortable. We want to move, we want to scratch something. Sometimes thoughts just keep going on and on and on. This is a popular one. But the question is it these things that distract us in themselves? At other times we can sit and meditate and it's quite noisy and it doesn't seem to bother us at all. Or we can feel just very good, very comfortable, very settled and grounded in our body, quite spontaneously. Sometimes thoughts can actually help us feel more concentrated and focused in meditation. Sometimes they come with a brilliant positivity. It's not correct to think that thinking always stops when we make progress in meditation. It can be useful under certain circumstances. But anyway, coming back to the hindrances, what is going on? We need to find out on a deeper level, deeper than the sounds, the discomfort, the thoughts. Thoughts, by the way, thought is considered a sixth sense in Buddhism, as well as sight, sound, and the others. So, in meditation, we reduce our sensory input, including thoughts, so we can see our mind more clearly and start to understand our deeper experience. Our deeper experience means our emotions, our deeper energies, what could be referred to as our unconscious mind. Or put another way, perhaps a bit more simply, we begin to see what we want and what we don't want, and try to see why it is we want it and we don't want it. People who start meditating often notice that they seem to experience more negative emotion, or at least they become more aware of their negative emotion. It's important to say it's not meditation doing this to us. It's just by meditating we can see what's really there that we didn't notice before. And seeing it clearly can help us overcome it, can help us work on it, dissolve it, overcome it. But if just seeing it isn't enough, there is something more that we can do. And to look at this something more, we're going to look at a teaching on the 5 hindrances. It's found in a Pali Canon, the oldest account of the teachings of the historical Buddha. The Pali Canon's nearer to anything that we have about what the Buddha actually taught. And these teachings have lasted over 2,500 years. They've stood the test of time. And maybe our human nature hasn't changed that much over the years as well. So in general, the 5 hindrances, well, they're an exhaustive list of 5 basic tendencies of mind. Maybe we could consider them 5 forms of mental energy that our mind takes. They're part of being human, and we all experience them. Even though people often say they have a favourite, one that we experience more than the others. It's not that we're better if we think, oh, I don't experience this or that. It just means we haven't fully become aware of all the aspects of our mind. So, let's look at the 5 hindrances one by one. So the first hindrance is desire for sensual experience. In everyday life, this hindrance manifests as desire to interact with the world through the senses, including thinking, which of course is considered the sixth sense in Buddhist psychology. When we sit to meditate, this desire manifests as fantasies about anything really: work, food, football, music, sex, knitting, anything at all that we engage in everyday life. This hindrance is so common, we might not even know that it's there, until in meditation we've noticed its absence, when we've experienced a state of perfect stillness and contentment. Sometimes our mind can seem, under the influence of this hindrance, to be what we could call monkey mind. A monkey jumping around a tree frantically, eating a bit of fruit here, not even finishing it before starting another bit of fruit there. But it's important. We shouldn't try to force the monkey to do what we want. We'll probably just make things worse if we do. What we need to do is interest him or her in meditation. Sometimes this hindrance is actually a superficial hindrance, meaning it's something on the surface that's hiding something deeper beneath. We're constantly active because we don't want to experience something going on deeper inside us. The traditional image for this hindrance is water mixed with paint, blue paint, green paint, red paint, and so on. The water can look beautiful in a certain kind of way, but the clarity is lost. So the first hindrance, desire for sensual experience. And now to the second hindrance, hatred. When do we experience hatred? Maybe somebody in our lives is causing us trouble, a lot of trouble, and we simply don't want that person to exist. We want them simply to disappear from our lives. It might be anger, where we play a conversation over in our mind, over and over again. Each time, what the other person says gets worse and worse. Hatred and anger can dominate our inner life. They can be directed to another person or ourselves. It's worth saying that anger can be positive. Anger, if well directed, can help us resolve a question with ourselves or with another. But hatred is negative, always negative. It doesn't want a resolution, and in a sense it's a strong attachment. Over time it can become part of our identity. We can enjoy it in a perverse kind of way. And it can take up a lot of energy to justify its existence. Some people say when they come along to meditation classes that they don't hate anybody. I would like to say meditate for 6 months and that view of yourself will have changed. There's a value to owning our own emotions. Other people can trigger our emotions, but we ourselves cause them. It's we who create our hatred and our anger. And that's actually really good news. It means we can overcome them. People often find it's a deep relief to stop fearing strong emotions while we're meditating. Strong negative emotions can change quickly into strong positive ones if we allow ourselves to experience them fully. Behind our hatred and anger, we might find fear and shame. And behind our fear and shame, we might find sadness and loneliness, which can change into love and compassion. The traditional image for hatred, another traditional image, again from the Pali Canon, from the same teaching, is boiling water. It boils, it hisses, it steams. So these two hindrances, they come as a pair. Craving for sensual experience and hatred. What's their connection? Well, hatred arises out of frustrated craving. Hatred arises to the object who we see as frustrating our craving. So another channel of reflection when we're experiencing hatred is what craving is being frustrated. So the second hindrance, hatred. And thirdly, restlessness and anxiety. Restlessness can be of the body or the mind. Restlessness of the body is when we want to move. We just can't seem to get comfortable. Something somewhere always seems to itch or need or hurt. It's different from a genuine pain, I should add. Restlessness of the mind is when the mind goes round and round, thinking about something. It can manifest as stress, anxiety, different compulsions. In brief, we could say that this hindrance is having too much energy, more energy than we can handle, an energy which isn't grounded. It's this hindrance that we seem most aware of. It's this hindrance that most often brings us to start meditating. People come to classes saying they want to stop thinking, or they want to deal with stress. The image for this hindrance is the surface of the water, disturbed by a strong wind. It gives the option that we can find calmer depths below, if only we allow ourselves to look. The fourth hindrance is sloth and torpor. If the third hindrance, restlessness and anxiety, was too much energy, then the fourth, sloth and torpor, is too little. We don't have too little energy because we're tired, because we've been working hard, or haven't had enough sleep. If this is the case, it would be better to rest a bit before meditating. Being in good physical condition is a foundation for an effective meditation practice, we can say in general. But when talking about this hindrance, we experience too little energy in meditation, but after we finished meditating, we can experience lots of energy again very quickly. If we're experiencing this hindrance, this lack of energy in the body, it can be reflected in our posture. Our shoulders droop, we sit in bad posture. If this hindrance is in our mind, we go into unconsciousness, into a fog. The image for this hindrance is a pond with overgrown with plants, underwater plants growing in it. The third and fourth hindrances go together as well, as a pair of opposites. Restlessness and anxiety, and sloth and torpor go together. In extreme cases, it can be seen, this pair of hindrances, in people who go through spells of manic activity, followed by depression, followed by manic activity, followed by depression. So the fourth hindrance, sloth and torpor. And at last, the fifth hindrance, which is doubt. Here, doubt doesn't mean an honest doubt which searches the truth and rejects falsehood. No, doubt as a hindrance stops us doing anything, stops us taking the initiative. It can be considered indecision, and it could be the hardest hindrance to spot. It's sly and hides in dark corners below the surface of other hindrances. It can manifest, doubt can manifest as doubting the teacher, doubting the teaching, doubting the student, self-doubt. Can I really change? Can I change? Or does life really have any meaning? Is anything really worth it? The opposite of doubt is confidence and clear intention, knowing that the power to change comes from within. It's something we can do, and we're able to do, not something that depends on others, doesn't depend on conditions. The image for doubt is water mixed with a grey, slimy sludge. Probably the least attractive of all the images, this grey, slimy sludge. So these are the 5 hindrances. Firstly, craving for sensual experience. Secondly, hatred. Thirdly, restlessness and anxiety. Fourthly, sloth and torpor. And fifth and finally, doubt. So it's not just a question of we can't meditate because it's noisy, or we can't get comfortable, or we constantly are thinking about something. We can't meditate because of our habitual, emotional and energetic patterns. the forms our energies takes, that underpin our experience. So we're going to do a guided meditation to help us become more aware of these hindrances that we all experience, every one of them. But they're not easy to spot. It's a skill to get to know when we're experiencing a hindrance, how we experience them, how we personally experience them. And that's what we're going to try to do now. So now we're going to do a short meditation with the goal of becoming more aware of our hindrances. It is going to be a short meditation, 10 or 15 minutes. If you'd like to do this meditation with me on your own, you could try pausing the recording during periods of silence so you can meditate for longer. So we'll just be focusing on the breathing and looking to notice if which of the hindrances are there one by one. To begin with, I'll just put a bolster behind my back to help me make sure I'm upright during meditation. I have good posture. That's already a good step in the right direction of overcoming any hindrances. And then we'll start meditating. So when you're ready, close your eyes. And take a moment to listen to all the sounds around you. And bringing your attention now to your body seated here. Allowing yourself to relax more deeply. Become more fully aware. And bringing your attention now to your breathing. Each in-breath, each out breath. And now, looking to notice if the first hindrance is there in us. Are we experiencing desire for sensual experience? Like water, coloured with paints, might be quite attractive, but the clarity of the water is lost. Are we experiencing it now? Can we remember experiencing it? And is there anything we can do to work on it, to dissolve it, overcome it? Our desire for sensual experience. And now, hatred. Are we experiencing hatred in its gross or subtle forms? Any kind of desire not to experience something? The gross image. The hatred is boiling water, hissing and spitting. Are we experiencing any form of hatred now? Can we remember experiencing hatred in the past? Is there anything we can do to work on our hatred, to dissolve it, to overcome it? And thirdly, restlessness and anxiety. Are we experiencing any restlessness in our bodies or anxiety in our minds? This image is the surface of the water being blown about by the wind, blown into choppy waves. Can we find the calm of the depths below? Are we experiencing restlessness or anxiety now? Can we remember experiencing them in the past? And how can we work on them, dissolve them, overcome them? And fourthly, sloth and torpor, tiredness in the body, lack of energy in the body, or in the mind, like a pond overgrown with weeds and plants, marshy plants. Are we experiencing a lack of energy now in our body or mind? Can we remember experiencing a lack of energy? Can we think of any ways to work with this lack of energy, dissolve this resistance and overcome it? And fifthly, the hindrance of doubt, a sense of stuckness. I can't do anything and I don't want to do anything. Like water mixed with filthy mud. Are we experiencing this hindrance now? Can we remember experiencing it in the past? What can we do right now to work on this hindrance, to dissolve this hindrance, to overcome this hindrance? So expanding your awareness out, encompass your body as a whole. And expanding further by listening to the sounds around us. And when you're ready, slowly and gently opening your eyes to finish the practice. Next week, we'll look at methods that we can use to work on these hindrances, to dissolve them, to overcome them. But the last thing I'd like us to do this week is to look how it feels to be free of them. And we can do this in meditation, reflecting in meditation, using another list of 5 images, again from the Pali Canon, reflecting and meditating on each of them. 5 images for how it feels like to overcome the hindrances. So we'll start meditating, focusing on the breath for our bodies. So overcoming the hindrances, it's like being somebody who was in debt, owing money, having none for himself or herself, who is now free from debt, can buy the things you need for life. Have you been in debt and then free from debt? How did getting free from debt feel like? Overcoming the hindrances is like being somebody who is ill, who recovers from illness, recovers their energy, their sense of well-being, who can get on with life. We've all been ill, so we can remember how it feels like to be well again, to overcome our illness. Overcoming the hindrances, it's like being somebody who was in jail, imprisoned, their freedom taken away. Who is now freed from jail? Probably we've never been to jail, but we have been trapped by circumstances. How did it feel when we got free again? Overcoming the hindrances. It's like somebody who was a slave, always bound to do what another told them to do. Who is freed from slavery. I'm sure we've never been slaves in a literal sense of the word, but we probably have been under somebody's control, somebody in our close family or at work. How did it feel like when we got free from that control? And lastly, overcoming the hindrances is like being somebody who was on a dangerous journey with all your valuables and possessions, and finishing the journey and being in safety again. How does it feel like to be safe again after a period of danger, time of danger? And when you're ready, slowly and gently open your eyes to finish the practice. So, we're nearly finished now. Just time to look at the question, what can we do in the week ahead? What can we do in our everyday lives to improve the quality of our lives? Well, we can continue meditating once a day, doing any of the practices that we've looked at in the course, perhaps giving special attention to spotting the hindrances, discovering them, and once we know what they are, looking at what we can do to work on them, dissolve them, overcome them in preparation for the week ahead. And please do report into the groups on Telegram about your experience. It's an essential part of the course. Outside meditation, don't forget about any of the ideas that we've looked at in previous videos. And more specifically, we can try and notice the hindrances and work on them in everyday life. If we notice desire for sensual experience, well, what can we do? Well, you can give yourself time to do nothing. Give yourself time to be alone. And notice what the resistances are to doing this. With hatred, noticing the different states of hatred. If hatred is aversion, we want to avoid something or somebody, we can just let ourselves be aware of the hated object with kind awareness. If we think we don't experience hatred, which means we don't allow ourselves to experience hatred, we can just let it come up. Maybe best in meditation. With restlessness and anxiety, we can try to notice when they are just starting to emerge, when we're just starting to feel anxious or stressed. And take a break, or do something to feel calmer and more grounded. With sloth and torpor, do we feel an inner resistance to doing things? Feeling of laziness, vagueness, procrastination? But what can we do to get our energies moving? Maybe a quick burst of energy, or maybe approaching something with balanced, mindful effort. And with doubt, what are we doubting? Why are we doubting? Is it a real resistance? Or is it masking something else? So all these things we can look at in the week ahead. to continue being more aware, becoming more aware of these 5 hindrances, these 5 basic tendencies of mind, these 5 forms our energies take that make us feel trapped, controlled, unwell and in danger. Wishing you a week of freedom and energy, spontaneity and safety and confidence.